All references are from the welded-on plate on the in-feed side of the machine. Measure and then cut the pad using a razor knife. Peel the rubber back. Machines built after February of 2020 will already have the holes drilled and tapped. Measure and mark the location of all 8 holes on both the front and the outfeed of the machine. Use a center punch to mark the exact location of the holes to be drilled. Drill the pilot holes with a smaller drill bit provided in your kit. Then use the larger drill bit to drill the holes out to size. Apply lube to the tab and then tap all 8 holes. Use a jack and place it under the front frame of the machine. Only raise it high enough so that you can safely slide the foot standoffs underneath each foot. Slide the foot standoffs underneath the foot pedestals on the machine, keeping your fingers away from any pinch points. Carefully and slowly lower the machine onto the foot standoffs. Repeat this process on the in-feed and out-feed conveyor using the shorter foot standoffs. Ensure that each foot is centered in the foot standoff. If not, raise the machine back up and recenter. There are 2 machine mount leg assemblies. Mount one to the front of the machine and one to the back of the machine. Use the 3/8 inch bolts, washers, and lock washers that are provided. Only finger tighten at this time. Next, we'll attach the long roller racks. There are 9 in the box. We'll use 3 of them for the center section. Set each one into position and fasten using the 3/8 inch bolts and washers provided. Only finger tighten the bolts at this time. Remove these 3 bolts from the in-feed conveyor roller rack and save them to attach the rear leg assembly. The front and rear leg assembly look similar. Verify the rear leg assembly by the label provided. Set the rear leg assembly into place and fasten using the bolts you removed earlier. Only finger tighten at this time. Next, we'll attach the removable leg welding. There are 2 in the box that are the same. Thread the swivel foot all the way into the leg welding so that there's room to attach it. Attach and tighten with the 3/8 inch bolts and washers provided. and unthread the swivel foot until it's just slightly touching the floor. There are 6 short roller racks. We will need 3 for the infeed side. Set into place and fasten using the provided 3/8 inch bolts and washers. Only hand tighten at this time. Next, we'll check the alignment of the extended infeed rollers. Use the aluminum squaring bar, set it halfway into the main conveyor, and gently tighten it. Check the fitment of the rollers by turning them. Raise and/or lower the swivel foot while feeling the tension of the rollers. Adjust as needed until there is a slight drag on the rollers. When the slight drag of the rollers is achieved, tighten all 3 bolts. After tightening the bolts, recheck the tension of the rollers and adjust if necessary. Then lock the jam nut on the swivel foot. Remove the 3 bolts from the end of the roller rack extension. Save them for attaching the leg assembly. Identify the front leg assembly by the provided label. Set it into place and attach it using the bolts you removed earlier. Attach a removable leg welding and tighten the bolts. Attach 3 of the long roller racks. Slide the aluminum bar to the end of the infeed conveyor. Have it be touching the rollers that we adjusted before. You may need to adjust the swivel foot for proper fitment. Tighten the bolts at this time. Adjust the front leg assembly up and down with the swivel foot until proper drag is achieved. When there is a slight drag on the roller, tighten the jam nut on the swivel foot. Attach the front leg assembly and the removable leg welding. Fasten the short roller racks into place. Remove the bolts at the end of the roller extension on the outfeed side. Fasten the rear leg assembly and the removable leg welding into place. Fasten the long roller racks into place. Tighten the bolts on both the front and rear leg assembly. Check and adjust the swivel foot for a slight drag on the rollers. When that is achieved, tighten and lock the jam nut. Recheck the tension and readjust if necessary. Stand up the aluminum bar so that it is centered on the 3 rollers of the long roller rack on the infeed side. Then tighten the main conveyor so it's held firmly into place. Adjust the infeed side of the roller rack so the roller just touches the aluminum bar. When you feel a slight drag on the roller against the aluminum bar, clamp the roller rack into position with the vice grip and tighten the bolt. Repeat this procedure for the other 2 roller racks of the infeed side. Remove the aluminum bar and place it so that it's centered at the 3 end rollers of the long roller rack on the outfeed side. Tighten the main conveyor to hold it firmly into place. Adjust each roller rack so the end roller has a slight drag on the aluminum bar, and then clamp and tighten the bolt. Remove the aluminum bar and place it back at the first roller in the infeed side of the machine to recheck the slight drag of each roller. If needed, readjust. Attach a string to the outfeed end of the center rack and the other end to the far infeed side of the long infeed roller rack. Clamp the provided key stock to the assembly with a vice grip. Attach the string to the key stock and do the same at the infeed end. Adjust the string and align it so it barely touches only the rollers on the long rack in the center. If needed, slide the other roller racks out of the way. Adjust the short roller rack so that the rollers are barely touching the string as well. Then tighten the bolts to hold it into position. Then adjust the long roller rack on the infeed side of the machine so that the rollers barely touch the string, and then tighten the bolts when it's in the proper position. Repeat the steps for the second row and then the third row. Then repeat the steps to adjust the outfeed side. Attach the string, adjust the string, adjust the short roller rack, adjust the long roller rack on all three rows. Check that all the bolts are tight. We recommend to anchor the short foot standoffs on the infeed and outfeed conveyor.